Hare Krishna, my dear Prabhus, dear Matajis. Good morning. Thank you for joining our morning japa session. Again, that is 5:30 to 7 o'clock a.m. You can log in, log out anytime. And of course, everyone is welcome to chant with us for the rest of the 1.5 hour. That will be more or less 14 to 16 rounds, depending on our facing. And welcome to our Monk in the Middle podcast, the Srimad Bhagavatam study. And yes, we are at our 104th Damina episode and studying the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hello, Hare Krishna. We have here Riza Mataji, Chatrika Radha Mataji, Moksha Lakshmi Mataji, Jona Mataji, Rolly Prabhu, Oliver Prabhu, and those who are regularly watching us in Facebook Live and also watching the recorded sessions. Hare Krishna. So you know the drill, everyone. We should be always in the right mood, in the mood of request, in the mood of humility. So join me as we recite the invocation mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamas Loke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. I offer my obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest. One should offer respectful obeisances unto the Personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So yesterday we discussed, together with Navadip Chandra Prabhu, how an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Because if one is not thinking how to serve Krishna, one will think how to serve Maya. And that kind of service to Maya is our entrapment. One on how one will be able to just go in circles in the samsara, the birth and death cycle. Birth, old age, disease, and death. So paulit-ulit lang yon. In different places, in different grade ng human life or animalistic life or even demigod life, same. So even on heavenly planets, they're experiencing the same. Of course, mas magarbo lang, mas komportable, but they will experience that. And again, they will go back to a human form, giving them a chance, an opportunity for them to finish this life and for them to go back, to be able to go back home, back to Godhead. So yes, we're continuing in our study and reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, the Cosmic Manifestation, chapter 2, text 13, the Lord in the Heart. Translation. The process of meditation should begin from the lotus feet of the Lord and progress to his smiling face. The meditation should be concentrated upon the lotus feet, then the calves, then the thighs, and in this way higher and higher. The more the mind becomes fixed upon the different parts of the limbs, one after another, the more the intelligence becomes purified. So we know it doesn't mean that if one is intelligent, one is automatically spiritual. So there are two kinds of intelligence. You have the material intelligence, the IQ, material IQ, and you have the spiritual intelligence. Much better if you have the two, but if you don't have the material intelligence, it is not a factor for one not to be able to be spiritual. So ayan yung story natin palagi, si Sri Rangam Brahmana, yung South Indian Brahmana, doesn't know how to read and write, but meron siyang spiritual intelligence. The intelligence is coming from Krishna. Sa kanya galing lahat ng intelligence. Yung strength of the strong, sa kanya rin galing yan. So if one is humble enough in service kay Krishna, he could just give the understanding how to come to him. So 10.10 ng Bhagavad Gita. With love and devotion, yung action and yung service ng isang devotee, one could easily bestow that understanding. But if one is proud, even mabasa niya lahat ng mga scriptures, he's missing the point. And of course, he's missing Krishna. Here, it was being mentioned that we should, or a neophyte should, including us, if we are having darshan and meditation on Krishna, we should always start from the lotus feet. Then the calves, the ankle, the calves, the thighs, the hips, pataas ang pataas yun. Yung stomach ni Krishna, chest, yung arms niya, hands, bago yung smiling face. This kind of meditation is also a representation ng pag-aaral natin ng Srimad Bhagavatam. We studied the first canto to 12th canto. Yung face ni Krishna, ayun yung smiling face niya, yung 10th canto ng Srimad Bhagavatam. Which is kung saan natin aaral and marirelish yung pastime ni Krishna with the gopis and Srimati Radharani, the rasa dance. So we cannot go directly sa 10th canto. At the same time, we don't go directly have the darshan or the meditation on the face of Krishna. Slowly and gradually, from the lotus feet higher, going to the upper parts of Krishna higher and higher. So this is the recommended meditation for those devotees ni Krishna. So if one is doing this, one's intelligence becomes purified. Napipurify yung mga intelligence. So, yeah, even masamang tao, marami, may iba doon, intelligent talaga sila. They could devise a plan, they could be in the position because they're very intelligent. Pero aanin mo yung matalino and yung intelligent lang if they will just do or harm others. Yung mga nag-design ng mga slaughterhouses, yung mga industry where it destroys mother nature, the sea, diba? Other human beings abusive to them, the hard labor, diba? Yeah, it was being designed by intelligent person, the intelligent people. Pero it's not pure. What is the reason bakit nila ginagawa yun? For them to be able to elevate yung eating, sleeping, mating, and defending nila. The same. Pero one should be practice detachment. The more intelligent, the more the intelligence becomes purified, the more becomes detached from sense gratification. So the process of detachment is not just suppressing yung senses, not using the senses or going to the caves, wala ka nakakausaping tao and all. No. One should dovetail our senses, use our senses, and purify it. So the mind will be purified, the intelligence will be purified, meditating on Krishna. Then one could be detached. That's the real process of detachment. Hindi yung gagawin mong bato yung puso mo. You don't make your heart like as hard as a stone. The more one is chanting Krishna's name, the more nag-melt yung heart, the more na nagiging soft like a butter yung heart. So this is the meditation madalas gradual from impersonalist papunta sa magiging personalist. Kasi this time we are talking about yung mga neophytes. Di ba, they were advised to meditate on the universal form ni Krishna because they're not yet ready and they're not willing, they're not qualified to meditate on the personal form ni Krishna. Let's continue reading para mas maintindihan natin. Unless the gross materialist develop a sense of loving service unto the Supreme Lord, the seer of both the transcendental and material worlds, he should remember and meditate upon the universal form of the Lord at the end of his prescribed duties. So yes, this is because if one is not yet ready, he is being advised to meditate on Krishna by his universal form. Meron ka makikilala talaga na beginner. Talagang hindi lang yung beginner in this life. Yung iba kasi you would see, they would easily take up Krishna consciousness. Kumbaga, hinog na sila. Yung iba sinasabi previous lives, may ginawa na sila and all. Sometimes may makita ka talagang beginner from this life. Talagang slowly, step by step. And sometimes, this kind of neophytes, even the conception of Krishna being personal, having personal features, being a person, the supreme person, they could not conceive. So, nandun sila sa point na Krishna or the God is light. God is nothingness. So, for them to be able to slowly step up, one should advise them to meditate on the Virat Rupa or the universal form ni Krishna. So kung nakikita nila yung nature, maisip nila si Krishna. Makita nila yung universe, yung planetary systems, maisip nila si Krishna. Yung moon and sun, makita nila yung eyes ni Krishna. Yung art of sense, maisip nila si Krishna. So that, in that way, slowly, gradually, matanggap nila si Krishna. Then, they will go beyond afterwards hanggang maging personalist na sila. So it is advised only if one is a neophyte. Unfortunately, the conditioned living entities, although suffering continually the threefold miseries of conditioned life, are not very serious about going back to Godhead. It is due to their misguided way of living. Because we are following, a lot of people are following the ways of life now, affected ng three modes of material nature. Everything here is just mixture of mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Kung naalala yung sa course natin, this is like the rainbow. From the three major colors, imimix-mix mo lang din yon. Tapos magkakaroon ka ng mga iba't ibang colors. Same thing, kung ano yung varietedness dito sa mundong to, yung phantasmagoria dito, yung different changes na nangyayari. It is just different mixtures ng three modes na yun. Diba? Ang hirap i-decipher, pero pwede mong observe yung pakiramdam mo, yung feeling mo. Nasa mode of goodness, tapos bigyan sa mode of passion, sa mode of ignorance, tapos paulit-ulit lang yun. Mag-mixture lang. Mag-iiba lang yan if you put Krishna. You will have some experience, spiritual experience. Pero si Krishna, ano talaga yung gusto niya mangyari? The Lord wants all living entities who are His parts and parcel to live with Him in the transcendental world. And for enlightening conditioned souls in the material world, all the Vedas and revealed scriptures are there, expressly to recall the conditioned souls to go back home, back to Godhead. So si Krishna, ang gusto talaga niya is lahat ng living entities bumalik na sa Kanya. But He will not force it because every soul have their own minute, so napakaliit lang na free will. You cannot force a person to love you. No, sabi mo sa akin, I love you palagi. So, hindi love yon, force yon. Ganun din si Krishna. He doesn't touch yung free will natin. The rest, he could control, but he doesn't want to. That's love. You don't force love. So, ang ginagawa niya, pinababa niya yung mga pure devotees niya. Hindi sila mga kick out dun sa spiritual world like, I don't know with you, but me. Like me. Pero yung iba, pinababa niya from the spiritual world. For the people here to be assisted, guided. And also, si Krishna bumaba minsan siya mismo or a different incarnation. And in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So that is his costless mercy. How to help yung mga less intelligent beginners. Yan. One must try to reestablish one's forgotten relation with the Lord if one at all desire to gain real happiness in life. So that is finding the real happiness. If one remembers yung relationship niya kay Krishna. If that will happen, one could develop one's godly qualities. So lahat ng tao, meron silang godly qualities. Pero they will never be God. So always remember that. Na unlike the Mayavad philosophy, you are God, you're God. Kasi they have godly qualities. Pero puff off na yung intelligence nila. They're very proud thinking they are also God. So we have 78% up to 78% godly qualities lang. 100% si Krishna. The rest, hindi na aabot doon. Hindi na lagpas doon. So if one fulfill that percentage, one is in that Brahman stage, Brahma Bhuta. Text number 15. O king, whenever the yogi desires to leave this planet of human beings, he should not be perplexed about the proper time or place, but should comfortably sit without being disturbed, and regulating the life air, should control the senses by the mind. So this is the pranayama of the 8 limbs of yoga system. And yung mga yogi, they don't die ordinarily. They could choose time and place. Like si Bhishma. Yes, naalala niyo si Grandfather Bhishma. He waited actually 18 days pa siya nagantay. Hanggang umabot yung time na gusto niya kung kailan. What time? Kung sino nakapaligid sa kanya. So this, one should control daw yung life air. So this is Ashtanga Yogi. So later may difference yung Bhakti Yogi. Pero ito, this is the part ng Ashtanga Yogi na he is on the end part, perfecting it. He is realizing na hindi yung mga asanas, hindi yung mga other limbs ng yoga system or mystic powers yung goal. And the end part ng pag-practice ng yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, is one will realize to meditate on Krishna from within, the super soul. So, ganun level na siya. So, he would use yung air sa body niya for him to be able to die at his own free will. Grabe yun, di ba? But for a pure devotee, or the one who constantly remember Krishna at every step of his life, easily he could obtain Krishna's mercy and enter his personal contact. Kumbaga, yes, may personal contact kay Krishna. So basically, if one is a devotee, he is given a chance to chant Krishna's name and all. Hindi niya kailangan totally gawin to. Pero of course, si Sukadeva Goswami is explaining the process in different processes. And lagi naman ganun. At the end, parang si Krishna rin. At the end, yung mga in-explain niya yung Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, emphasize niya yung importance ng Bhakti Yoga. So here, even if those yogi who are in the path of perfection, meditating from Krishna from within, Lord Vishnu, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, Ito yung ginagawa nila. In this way, they would merge kay Krishna. They would perfect their life kapag ganito yung process. Text number 16. Thereafter, the yogi should merge his mind by his unalloyed intelligence, unalloyed pure intelligence, in the living entity, and then merge the living entity into the super self. And by doing this, the fully satisfied living entity becomes situated in the supreme stage of satisfaction, so that he ceases from all other activities. So this is one process. This is the process of detachment. The function of the mind, sa purport, the function of the mind are thinking, feeling, and willing. When the mind is materialistic or absorbed in material contact, it acts for material advancement of knowledge, destructively ending in discovery of nuclear weapons. So ito yung sinasabing material intelligence. Does it mean kabutihan yung gagawin niya? Yung gumawa ng nuclear weapon, nanalo ng Nobel Prize. Sa ginagamit ng nuclear weapon, the purpose ba na gusto gawin yun is for one to be able to instill fear sa ibang mga bansa na pag di nyo kami nirespeto, sinunod, we have nuclear weapon and one click, we can destroy a big portion of your country. Tapos yung nag-invento na itong weapon na to, may Nobel Prize. Di ba? Oh, what a shame of the use sa intelligence natin. So if one is really attached materially, ganito yung mapuproduce nung mind and intelligence niya. Ganito mag-end. So thinking, we're advancing technology and all. Pero kung napapansin nyo, like, yung mga advanced technology ginagamit palagi or doon na i-invento sa field ng war, sa mga armies. Diba? Even yung mga materials, the GPS, doon nagsimula for war, for fear. So here, it was being advised na one should merge one's mind sa intelligence, dun sa super self, sa identity and the super self or super soul. So from inwards, kasi they're meditating kay Krishna from within. So inwards yung meditation nila. Again, this is not the two-arm form ni Krishna. Hindi to yon. This is the four-arm form ni Krishna as Kshirodakasha Vishnu. Ang perfection nila rito, if they really perfected this, they could go to Vaikuntha planets. Vaikuntha planets is also in the spiritual world, but the relationship kay Krishna doon is in awe and reverence. Krishna is the king. We are also, if one went there, yung katawan niya have the four-arm form ni Krishna. Same form ni Krishna. Four-arm form ka doon. Bluish ka rin. Pero you're not Krishna. You're not God. The living entity's intelligence then becomes freed from unhappy illusion of materialistic temperament, and thus, by unalloyed intelligence, the mind is brought into the service of the Lord. So this is the process. Kaya yung mga materialistic na person, they're advised to meditate Krishna from within to purify the intelligence. Then, they will have a chance to perform devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, in the next life or in that same life. Dhruva Maharaj did this. Si Lord Shiva did this, meditating from Krishna from within. Then afterwards, they will be transformed into to Bhakti Yogi. Yung four Kumaras also was an impersonalist before, pero naamoy nila yung aroma, yung scent nung tulasa leaf coming from the lotus feet ni Lord Vishnu. Tapos naging personalist na sila. Even Sukadeva Goswami was also like that. So, it's still, sa yoga ladder, pag nasa practice ka ng Ashtanga Yoga, yung personalism, highest pa rin is the Bhakti Yoga. Sadhana Bhakti. So, this was just being described by Sukadeva Goswami in detail para nag-zoom in siya lalo yung mga processes na to. And if one is experiencing this, how do you call this? Meditation from within, one could experience pasanity. And soon, nakikita nyo yung last sentence sa purport. Let's read. When the living entity is directly seen by the Lord dictates to him to act according to his desire. And when the living entity follows him perfectly, so si Krishna nagbibigay ng hint. Si Krishna from within, he's talking to us always. And if one listen to Krishna from within, the super soul, and one follows it, the living entity ceases to discharge any other duty for his illusory satisfaction. So nawawala yung illusion ng isang tao. So si Krishna, if one is really serious, mas maririnig mo si Krishna from within. Siya yung magkasabi sa'yo, mag-chant ka, magsadana ka, bakit ka gumigising na maaga ngayon. Who's helping you to do that? Si Krishna. Yung iba naririnig lang si Krishna, pero hindi sila kumikilos. But if one follows Krishna, easily yung dissatisfaction natin sa illusion, yung attachment natin sa material energy will be gone. One will experience his pure unalloyed state. Pure state niya, unalloyed. The living being attains the stage of full bliss. Ito yung tinatawag na labdo pasanti. Labdo pasanti. Nabubura kasi pag heavy yung highlighter ko. Hindi ko mabasa. Labdo pasanti. So, kailangan ko ng lighter. Ayan, si Riza. Alam niya yan. So, wala na yung material hankering, pero meron siyang full bliss. Again, the soul, yung complete qualities ng soul is eternally blissful and knowledgeable. So, if one is attached kay Krishna, lumalabas yung natural na quality ng soul natin. Eternally blissful and knowledgeable. Text number 17. In that transcendental state of labdo pasanti, there is no supremacy of devastating time, which controls even the celestial demigods who are empowered to rule over mundane creatures. And what to speak of the demigods themselves? Nor is there the mode of material goodness, nor passion, nor ignorance, nor even the false ego, nor the material causal ocean, nor the material nature. So if one is in this stage, fully satisfied kay Krishna, fully absorbed kay Krishna, wala siyang hankering sa material energy. At the same time, hindi siya affected ng time. Grabe, di ba? Not affected by devastating time. Tong time na to are controlling because we know si Krishna yon, Kala. I am time, I am Kala, the destroyer of everything. Chapter 11 ng Bhagavad Gita, I mentioned that. This time controls even the highest demigods, Lord Brahma. Si Hiranyakashipu, yung tatay ni Prahlad Maharaj, in the pastime of Lord Nrsingadev, meditated, performed mysticism just to be immortal. Si Lord Brahma yung naatasan to pacify him kasi di-disturb na yung material world because of his austerity. Isang demon performing yoga. Ang gusto niya maging immortal, sabi ni Lord Brahma, even I could not give you, even I is not immortal, how could I give it to you? Kasi even si Lord Brahma will die after 100 years in his lifetime, not our lifetime. That would be billions and trillions of years. So what more pa yung mga other normal demigods? Sila Indra, hindi ba normal? Mataas pa rin sila, pero lower than Lord Brahma. Sila Indra, Chandra, sila Vayu, Varuna. So, affected sila ng time. So ano ba yung meron sa time na to? Past, present, and future. Pero yung devotee is not affected by this one. It is just like the same. Just like what we're studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's 5,000 years ago. But eternally happening, lalo na yung mga pastime ni Krishna, Nitya Leelas or eternal pastime niya. we're chanting Krishna's name, we will not be affected by past, present, and future. Of course, our material body, if we are seeing it mundanely, we could see may past, present, and future pa rin. Pero yung consciousness, no. It's eternal. The influence of time is exhibited by the symptoms of birth, death, old age, and disease. Kaya yung mga yogi, nakikita nyo parang hindi sila tumatanda. Mga symptoms. And these four principles of material conditions are present everywhere, even to the planet of Lord Brahma or Brahmaloka. Even sa planet Lord Brahma, sa heavenly planets, may ganito. So that's why heavens are still considered as, are still in the material creation. Hindi sila spiritual world. Kasi nakaka-experience sila ng four principle na to. Material principle, birth, death, old age, and disease. Even sa Lord Brahma. What more pa yung mga lower species, saka yung mga nasa lower planetary system. So, being in hell is temporary then. And going to heaven is also temporary. There are other beliefs na pag naging mabait ka, nakapag-confess ka, forever ka na sa heaven. Pag nakalimutan mo mag-confess bago mamatay, forever ka na sa hell. It is not like that. These are the only destination or part ng karma natin. If we did something na we deserve to be in hell or we deserve to be in heaven, pupunta tayo doon. Mas matagal, depende. Pero after some time, you will go back to the earthly planet. To be, of course, after ng mga heavenly and hellish planets, pagpunta mo rito, kung may karma ka maging hayop, maging bacteria, hanggang umakat ka sa maging tao ulit. So that will be the destination. They are still experiencing birth, old age, disease, and death. So yes, yung mga tao, because of poor fund of intelligence, they're thinking kung ano yung nasa paligid nila, sila yung nagko-control. Sila yung the Lord of all they survey. Diba? We want to be controller. We want to be even controller na ibang tao. Pero even yung sarili natin mahirap i-control. What more pa yung iba? So yes, this impersonalist and also beginner, if they perfected it, they could go yung sa meditation sa light, sa Brahma Jyoti, this is the light. Ito yung effulgence na Vaikuntha planets. Effulgence ni Krishna. So still, nothing is there. They don't have spiritual body there. Kasi nasa material world pa rin sila. Nandun sila sa parang transition, pero hindi sila makakapasok kasi they're impersonalist. And temporary lang din doon. May inip ka rin doon kasi wala kang gagawin. Palutang-lutang ka lang. Diba? Hindi ko alam. Hindi ko ma-imagine pag andun na. Wala kang gagawin doon lang. Peace. Shanti-shanti. Pero walang flavor, walang taste, walang happiness, walang, alam mo yun. Ito, in-explain pala rito. In the Lord is the full-fledged form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. But in the formless, Brahma Jyoti, simply, eternally, and knowledge. Wala kang bliss doon. Wala kang mararamdaman na saya. Empty. Kaya if one is meditating on nothingness, one is meditating on void or just the light, one is surely, after medyo ma-elevate, ma-disseminate niya yung mga other emotions niya, matabi-tabi niya na onte, ma-suppress niya, one will feel empty. Kasi ayun yung meditation nila wala eh. So ano mararamdaman? Wala rin. Walang variety. Si Krishna is the supreme artist, sabi nga, variety is the mother of enjoyment. The emotion, the excitement, diba? So, pag pumunta ka dun sa light, wala ka mararamdaman. Okay, yes, may knowledge ka because pwede kang gyani yogi ka. And matagal, eternal din yung Brahma Jyoti. Pero ikaw, temporary ka lang pupunta doon. Bakit eternal yung Brahma Jyoti, yung light? Kasi effulgence ng eternal spiritual world yun. So here, binibuild up na ni Sukadeva Goswami at the same time yung mga purpose ni Srila Prabhupada. Yung perfection ng isang yogi, with the comparison sa Bhakti Yogi. Pero itong isang yogi na to is on that path transitioning papunta sa Bhakti Yogi. Text number 18. The Transcendentalists desire to avoid everything godless, for they know that the supreme situation in which everything is related with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Therefore, a pure devotee who is in absolute harmony with the Lord does not create perplexities, but worships the lotus feet of the Lord at every moment, taking them into his heart. At every moment. Kaya nga sabi nga, we should chant Krishna's name 24 hours a day. So, paano yun? So, lagi ko lang hawak yung beads ko. No? Basically, meron tayong quota. Hindi quota. Meron tayong minimum. Quota is maximum. Meron tayong minimum, pero walang maximum. In our chanting sa Japamala. So, chanting in our Japamala is using the beads. We're pronouncing the words, Krishna's names, and we should hear it. Other than that, one could chant Krishna's name by singing, by the mind. Diba? So this, we could chant Krishna's name 24 hours a day. Pero may minimum ka sa Japamala. So here, if one is meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna, every moment, ito yung goal ng mga transcendentalists. He is absolute in harmony with Krishna. Lagi mo siya nararamdaman, lagi mo siya naririnig. Lagi mo alam yung plano niya. Kasi you are connected. In the Bhagavad Gita, it was mentioned, Madhdama, may abode. Yung abode ni Krishna, mapupuntahan ng isang devotee if one is unalloyedly meditating upon Krishna palagi. 24 hours a day. But yes, it was being mentioned here in the purport and sa translation because the one who is practicing this is the Ashtanga Yogi. Ang binibigay na translation dito is kay Lord Vishnu. So that's the big difference. Still in the spiritual world, pero Vaikuntha planets, madaming Vaikuntha planets, si Lord Vishnu yung nandun. Still higher is the Goloka Vrindavan or Vraj, where si Lord Krishna, the two-arm form niya, yun nandoon. So if one is perfecting or have perfected yung yogic process in meditating of Lord Vishnu, he will go further if he wants to go further sa Bhakti Yoga. So ito yung process. And if one is pure devotee of the Lord are absolutely in harmony with the personality of Godhead. Or, in other words, they always think of the Lord as their only dependable friend and well-wisher. They do not care for any mundane creature up to the status of Brahma. So even si Lord Brahma, they know that he is a living soul, living entity, but in that role, in that body, in that position. Pero hindi yung goal nila, kaya hindi sila demigod worshippers, ang mga devotee. It is being advised for one to be able to worship Krishna, directly Krishna. How to worship directly si Krishna? One should serve the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Not the demigods. Of course, some of the demigods are part ng acharya natin. Ng samsara natin. Like si Lord Brahma. Pero we don't worship Lord Brahma. We worship Krishna and serve the servant of the servant. So that's the big difference. Because those who are demigod worshippers are just wishing for material benefit. Oh, please, paulanin mo naman dito. Diba? Para magkaroon ng tanim. Tumubo yung mga tanim namin. Para yung pera namin, magamit namin. Kapag-provide. So that's still material. But if one is meditating on Krishna, he could provide easily. The demigods will follow automatically. And they are actually pleased kapag yung mga tao is worshiping Krishna. Ito sobrang importante. A pure devotee of the Lord no longer wastes valuable time in discriminating the Brahman from non-Brahman because he knows perfectly well that the Lord para-Brahman, so don't be confused sa mga terms, but his Brahman energy is interwoven in everything. And thus, everything is looked upon by a devotee as the property of the Lord. So, the para-Brahman is Krishna, the Supreme Brahman. Kasi tayo, we can just go to the Brahman stage, yung 78% na yun. Beyond that is Krishna. So, a devotee knows yung difference ni Lord Brahma or yung mga tao on that level, soul on that level, and from Krishna. So, he doesn't do demigod worship. He serves Krishna. Text number 19. By the strength of scientific knowledge, one should be well situated in absolute realization and thus be able to extinguish all material desires. One should then give up the material body by blocking the air hole through which stool is evacuated with the heel of one's foot and by lifting the life air from one place to another in 6 primary places. So this is part of the Pranayama. Much more going back tayo dun sa passing this life, living this life. So this way, the mind is controlled. Kaya ginagawa ng mga yogi yung asana, yama-niyamas, withdrawing of the senses para pumunta sa stage na to. So, to control the mind, one should be Krishna conscious. Ultimately, to conquer the mind, one should do that. And the big help for that is you can do yoga asanas if you wish to. It will help one to control the senses as well. But if you don't want to, you could dovetail all the senses, your talents, your skills, your behavior, your actions, the facilities na meron ka, even the money you could dovetail in serving kay Krishna. In that way, one could easily control the mind, could conquer the mind. Sabi ni Arjuna sa Bhagavad Gita, the mind is chanchalam, restless. It is easier to control the wind than to control the mind. But if one is serving Krishna fully, he's always thinking of Krishna, one could conquer the mind. So in this example, they are talking about, Sukadev Goswami is talking about kapag mayroong scientific knowledge with that intelligence, he's determined and focused in passing yung life niya. Yung air daw, dapat i-block niya yung holes. Lalo-lalo na yung sa anal area. Sabi nga, if one is going sa hellish planet, lalabas yung soul niya sa anal area. Tapos magkakaroon ng loose stool and all. Di ba sa hospital na ganun? Namin ko na-witness sa hospital nun. Kaya yung, like si Maharaj Pariksit, fasting siya till that. Alam mo, mamatay siya. Fasting na siya. So magagawa niya rin yung blocking of the hole. So yes, yung by the heel of the foot, di ba, may lotus position, pero may position that yung heel ng foot naka-block dun sa anal area. Doon siya nag-meditate sitting. Then yung air, ipapas niya pataas ang pataas. And the expert yogi who has thoroughly practiced the control of life air by prescribed method of the yoga system is advised to quit the body as follows. He should plug the evacuating hole with the heel of the foot, then progressively move the life air on and on to 6 places: the navel, abdomen, heart, chest, palate, eyebrows, and cerebral pit. So all the chakras, papaangatin niya. Hanggang lumabas dito. Then you're dead. Text number 20. The meditative devotee should slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, from there to the chest, and from there to the root of the palate. He should search out the proper place with intelligence. There are 6 circles of the movement of the life air. Intelligence, the intelligent Bhakti yogi should search out these places with intelligence and in a meditative mood. So ito yung mga chakras. So it was being mentioned here. The Swadhisthana chakra, the powerhouse of the life air. And above this, just below the abdomen and navel, Manipuraka chakra. On upper space is further searched out of his heart. One reaches the Anahata chakra. And further up, when the life air is placed on the root of the palate, one reaches the Vishuddhi chakra. So pataas na pataas yung life air. So yung mga expert yogi na gagawa nila to. So thereafter, the Bhakti yogi should push the life air up between the eyebrows, then blocking the 7 outlets. So meron yung mga yogi na ginagawa para mablock yung mga holes. Tapos sa paa, ganun din. Heels. He should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. If he is completely free from all desires for material enjoyment, he should then reach the cerebral hole and give up material connections, having gone to the Supreme. So this is the process of that ng isang Ashtanga yogi. So different sa Bhakti yogi. So this being detached, the life air, they're focusing cerebral, then focusing on the supreme abode ni Krishna, which is Vaikuntha planet, that is their goal. Pero yung isang Bhakti yogi, which is, ito, kinoconsider din silang Bhakti yogi, pero isang Bhakti yogi na devotee ni Krishna na two-arm form, ang meditation niya is to think of Krishna's name, pastime forms, and yung qualities, chanting Krishna's name. So, hindi niya kailangan mag-meditate ng life air from within. Ginagawa niya is chanting Krishna's name. Automatically, ayan yung aeroplano mo, si Krishna magdadala sa'yo sa supreme abode niya in Goloka Vrindavan. If one chanted Krishna's name, remembering Krishna at the time of death. So here, it was being mentioned na giving up material connection and returning home. So the process of detachment should be there. Kaya ayun yung practice ng isang yogi. Like previously we mentioned that if one reaches 50 years old of age, that is the sign of death. One should consider that sign of death. Diba? Ano pang gagawin mo sa the rest of the years? Ano yung new life? Bagong bisyo and all? One should focus, if one is lucky enough to reach 50 years old, one should focus on Krishna consciousness. Diba? Maraming experience na sa buhay yan, marami ng failures, marami ng success. And for sure, yung mga umabot sa age na yan, alam nila na same thing, different flavors. And they should focus on Krishna consciousness. That's why a lot of yung mga devotees are becoming sannyasis. At least they were advised to become sannyasis by the scriptures. If one reaches 50 years old, they should retire from material life, then slowly transition to become a sannyasi, or renounce order of life. But still, not all could do that. But if one focuses much more of their time and energy to Krishna consciousness, that is the best. Rather than 50 years old ka na, doon ka pa rin nakafocus sa money, sa position, sa fame, or sa vices, such gratification. No? One should not waste his time. And yes, it was being mentioned here yung Vaikuntha Lokas. Again, we mentioned a while ago, yung planet ni Krishna in the Vaikuntha. It is very different. And these param, or the paramdhama, mentioned in several places in the Bhagavad Gita, are one and the same thing. One goes to paramdham, or the ultimate abode. Dham is heavenly place, and does not return to the material world. Kasi pagpunta mo na doon, hindi ka na babalik dito. Unless you're the pure devotee na ina-assign ni Krishna bumaba dito. So yes, this is different signs ng living and dying. In answer pa rin sa question ni Maharaj Pariksit, how to live and die ng isang human being. So, dinescribe ni Sukadev Goswami yung ways and means of living and dying kapag one is practicing, di ba yung una, yung animalistic life dapat hindi doon, karma kanta, and this one is being mentioned sa mga Ashtanga Yogi. So, sa yoga ladder, pataas na pataas yun. Hanggang ma-explain ni Sukadev, I think tomorrow we will talk about much further dun sa 8 limbs of yoga system. Na pag may desire ka, anong gagawin mo para mawala yung desire mo, tapos anong gagawin mo. Tapos yung iba nag-meditate on different planetary systems. Tapos hanggang matapos mo na yon, ultimately, pupunta pa rin sa meditation kay Krishna and Bhakti Yoga. So that's important. Because if one is practicing Bhakti Yoga, he's always praying kay Krishna for him to be able to remember Krishna 24 hours a day, for him to have association and devotees. Si Dhruva Maharaj and si even sa Lord Shiva prayed for that, the association of devotees. So one should not be proud na advanced siya tapos di na siya makipag-associate sa mga devotees. No. It is false ego. Hindi. Mga iba yung vibes nila. Or iba yung ano nila. Mabuti na magka-practice ako ng bhakti solo. No, hindi mo magagawa yan. Hindi mo makapag-practice ng bhakti yoga solo. Some could do Bhajananandi, that's one practice of Krishna consciousness. Na sila lang sa kuweba, meditating on Krishna, chanting their rounds. They're on that level kasi pinaghirapan nila previous life para mapunta doon na nakafocus na lang sila. Some are saying na dumaan din sila sa pagiging Goshti Anandi. Goshti Anandi is like what we're doing, sharing Krishna to others, having the association of devotees. So that is the goal. Even sa Lord Chaitanya is Goshti Anandi. He traveled far and wide. Even Srila Prabhupada traveled far and wide to spread Krishna's name. And the association of devotees is the big help. Yung bhakti would come from a person who have bhakti. Hindi siya makukuha sa pag-practice ng life air, pag-practice ng pranayama, na pag-practice ng yoga asana. You cannot get bhakti from that. You can only get bhakti coming from another bhakti. Those who have bhakti. Like the scientist is always trying to produce life. Diba? Like sinasabi nila yung virus daw pinroduce ng scientist. That's not true. Maybe they could tweak something, they could cultivate, but scientists could never create a life. Imposible. They could mix up different elements. Pero yung ginagawa nila, or mag-breed sila ng other, mag-mix sila ng mga other clones and all, pero kukuha pa rin sila sa life. So life comes from life. That's specifically creation ni Krishna. Creation ng life na kaya mag-produce ng other life. Pero scientists could just mix yung mga create ni Krishna ng mga elements and all. So same thing. Similarly, bhakti comes from bhakti. One could not produce bhakti in love para kay Krishna by his own. One could just produce bhakti coming from another person who have bhakti. Oh yes, para Sharon, ako mag-isa lang ako, libro lang binabasa ko. Yes, libro ni Srila Prabhupada yan. Andyan yung bhakti ni Srila Prabhupada. So one could read Srila Prabhupada's books. One is associating with Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee, and getting his bhakti. And of course, having the association of living or physical devotee, or even Zoom. It helps us develop that bhakti, conquering the mind, removing our material attachment, maging detached tayo doon, and getting Krishna. And the fastest way to get Krishna is to give Krishna. So, different equation siya sa material life. If one gives yung money sa ibang tao, nalulus niya yung money. Yung isang tao nagigain. But if one is giving Krishna to others, one would get much benefit in stepping closer kay Krishna. One is getting Krishna much more. One is developing love kay Krishna much more. Kasi binibigay mo sa Krishna. Because Krishna is very, very, very pleased if one teaches this knowledge, share this knowledge to others, and one spread Krishna's name, the meditation on Krishna. If Krishna is pleased, and if the devotees are pleased, one is stepping closer and developing that love kay Krishna. So that is the secret of success. Pleasing the gurus, pleasing the devotees, automatically pleases Krishna. And in that way, one would experience the eternal bliss. Sarap, di ba, if one is performing, like yung mga devotees natin nag-perform ng Food for Life, the prasadam distribution, kakaiba yung feeling, di ba? Even if you sponsored it, nagpakapagod ka, then you offer kay Krishna, then you distribute it, hindi ka nawalan. You gain a lot, ecstatic, di ba? So, even amidst this pandemic, one could do that. Kahit iwalay-walay tayo, one could still do devotional service. And they're doing it. Diba? Krishna from within extracted them. Sila Jonah, sila Rolly, sila Riza. They're doing this, sila KD. Diba? So one could do that. If mahirap mag-gather ng mga devotees, do it by yourself. Or by twos. Or you can engage others, family members. Same. Other devotional service, distributing books ng Srila Prabhupada. Kakaiba yung feeling, di ba? Kakaibang feeling yon. Tapos nalaman mo, narinig mo yung tinutulungan mo maging devotee, nagka-chant regularly. If you're depressed, do this. Mawawala yan. Krishna could easily remove your depression, your darkness. Make others chant Krishna's name. So yes, that's the ultimate. Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan. Giving Krishna to others, planting the seed. Hindi mo na kailangang mag-ecstasy. Ayun na yung ultimate ecstasy mo. Maraming salamat, my dear ones. I'll see you again tomorrow. And again, if you haven't registered dun sa ating Google form, please do so. And if you're not part of the Monk in the Middle podcast na group chat, let me know. And also dun sa VBA group chat natin, let me know. Para you could be in the right place to receive notification and mga announcements. Thank you very much, Jonah, Moksha, Lakshmi, Rasarani, Veronica, Nika, Oliver, Prabhu, Rodel, Rolly, Riza, and those who were watching sa Facebook Live natin. And sa mga recorded lectures natin. Maraming salamat. Please continue to finish your rounds. Please read yung ating Srimad Bhagavatam. Lalo na yung mga inaaral natin. Few verses din naman tayo. You can read on your own. You can read in advance. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. See you everyone. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Group chat. Yes, Hare Krishna. Mother Moksha. Thank you din po. Thank you, Rolly Prabhu. Thank you. Bye.